Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel where I design visual systems in my bullet journal. So if you're interested in ideas for unique bullet journal spreads for different areas of your life that are very functional, minimal, easy to set up yet still aesthetic, then make sure to subscribe. So in case you missed my previous video, I actually moved to a new bullet journal system which is more of a traveler style notebook. So if you want to learn more about the rationality of changing my system and how I did it, I'll link that video up for you below. But basically what I have now in this new bullet journal system are 4 inserts, one for long-term collections, one for my quarterly or 12-week year planning, and 2 for my long-term projects. And each of these inserts will need their own index, just that I didn't really want to use the usual table of contents style index. Instead, my intention here is to organize the contents of each notebook based on the unique nature of the information inside, so that it's easy for me to find this information later on when I archive them. So first off, the purpose of an index by design is to help you find spreads and collections in your bullet journal. I know that some people use it. I also know that some people don't really use it. But if you put a lot of content in your bullet journal, and let's say you have 5 years worth of bullet journals, you will most likely need a way to easily search through past spreads and content without having to scan through all the pages across your notebooks. So in other words, an index is simply a means to organize information. But that also means that there can be many different ways to do it, depending on the type of information that you want to organize. So here are 4 different styles of indexing. So for my first insert, which houses my long-term collections, I decided to adopt the Alastair Method. And if you haven't heard of the Alistair Method before, or maybe the rolling weekly, I'll link up some good resources below. But usually this method is normally used for managing tasks, to-do lists, daily logs, and future logs. But I found that I could actually adopt its general concept to organize my index according to specific categories or themes. So in general, I realized that pretty much all of the spreads that I have planned in this notebook revolves around certain themes like health and wellness, fun and entertainment, learning, and perhaps a few others. So instead of putting everything in the same list, I drew 4 columns with each of these categories written on top. And as I add a new spread or content to my index, I will write down its respective page number in the corresponding column or category. That way it's easier for me to find things at a glance. So if you have also observed that there seems to be like a general theme or categories in terms of your contents or spreads in your bullet journal, then this may help you organize your index by those categories, especially if you don't want to color code everything like what I used to do before. The second insert is for my 12-week year planning or quarterly planning. So this is basically my main bullet journal insert because it contains my goal planning for the upcoming quarter, my scheduled events, and 12 weekly spreads, and also meeting notes at the back. And so the key information that I want to see for this index are all of my scheduled events like meetings, and then the page number of the notes of those meetings or events, and then finally some key milestones or highlights or achievements of that period. Hence, the best format I could think of that can best capture all of this information is something like a timeline style or like a roadmap style layout. Because if you think about it, the common denominator here is time, like planning for the future, recording the present, and then archiving past memories. So here you can see that I'm drawing the vertical lines of this roadmap, following the number of days for each month, and then connecting them at the top and the bottom with a semicircle so that it looks like a road or like a roadmap. The only tricky thing here is that for the month of February, I have to do it backwards, meaning it starts at the bottom and then it ends at the top. I know it's not really that intuitive, but on the other hand, I really wanted to achieve this like winding roadmap timeline. So I guess that's a personal preference, and of course you can arrange it the correct way if you like. And then when it comes to using this index, all I have to do is note down my scheduled events and meetings on the left side of the roadmap. And then on the day of the event, if let's say it is a meeting, I will most likely be taking notes at the back side of this insert. And then afterwards, I will just simply write down the page number of those notes next to the actual event and then encircle it. Whereas on the right side, I will just simply jot down highlights, milestones, achievements, or even fun memories that transpired so that when I look back, it serves sort of like a log of things to be grateful for. So again, because I do quarterly planning, I only have 3 months in here, but if you're intrigued by this format, you can totally do it for 6 months or even 1 year. I think it will look even cooler if you do it for that length of time, and you will probably end up having more space for writing things down because in my case, I needed to leave margins on either side. And like I said, it's like a catch-all for all of the events and highlights for that period of time. So by the time you do your end of the year review, it's really easier to see a timeline of everything that happened in one place. So this third one is a little bit obscure, and I would have to say that it may not be used as a bullet journal index per se, but simply a way to organize information for a specific kind of project, spatial projects to be exact. So in my case, this insert is for my passion project. It's called the Regenesis Project. It's basically focuses on regenerating and restoring local ecosystems and communities in the Philippines. So this entire 17-hectare development you see in this map will be our first project. But this is also a long-term project and there are many things that needs to be done. So I needed to organize information based on what needs to be planned and designed, including like the design of the structures, planting layouts, and also the actual progress of planting, restoration, and all site works basically. So what I did was I printed out a very faint base map of our site, pasted it on this page, and that's literally it. So there are 2 ways I use this map. The first is to note down the page numbers of the details or spreads of certain areas of the project. So let's say planting design for this boundary wall or concept designs for this building or this training center. So you can see here, I'm just simply jotting down the page number of the respective contents onto this space map. The second way I use it is to update the status of planting, restoration works, and site works of the different areas of our site according to what stage or phase they are currently at. That way, a few years into this project, if I need to find anything in my archive notebooks, it'll be very easy for me to find any content on any area or structure in this development, and I can also visually see the site progress from notebook to notebook. So for my last insert, I have adopted an alternative Calendex method. If you haven't heard of the Calendex or the Hope method, again, I'll link some resources for you below. But basically, it's a hybrid of an index and a calendar where each column corresponds to each month, and then the days of the month are listed on the side, where you can then write down the corresponding page number of your notes or spreads according to which date it occurred. But the reason why I created an alternative to this original system is because I know I will not have enough content to fill the days of the month. I think it will end up just looking very sparse. So instead of writing all the days of the month vertically, I just simply wrote down the calendar at the top. The other way I'm going to use this is I'm going to use this calendar to plan or schedule my posts both in YouTube and Instagram by drawing an open circle around my planned posting schedule. And then when I do post on the scheduled date, I will fill the circle in. If it's delayed, then I will just fill a closed circle on the actual date of posting. And then below the calendar, I'll just simply use the space to record what I actually posted, and even as an index for the related spreads and content that I created that month. In the end though, I actually use the space as a final destination to stick my work in progress videos, the sticky notes from my Kanban board, which actually worked out perfectly. And speaking of Kanban board, in the next video, I'll be sharing more about how I do project management using an elevated Kanban board system. So if you're interested in that, do make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching and take care everyone.